talking college sports in the Deep South where college football is king, and we would like to think that the SEC conference is the best conference in college football. The SEC West is the best sub-conference, and the battle cry in the Deep South is War Eagle. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports. We're mostly talking Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. Let's go ahead and get the comment section rolling with the fearless and true gang, War Eagle. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, I haven't always been an Auburn fan. As a matter of fact, I grew up in the area, but I actually grew up as a Florida State fan. And there was a local college, Tuskegee University, where I was actually a die-hard Tuskegee University fan. Okay, so I didn't grow up all being an Auburn fan. Now, I always liked Auburn because my aunt really loved Auburn. I mean, I'm talking about she was so adamant about this thing that we would have, it wasn't a watch party because we couldn't get it on, back in 1993 it was when Auburn went undefeated. We actually had to listen to the games on the radio, and as it turns out, we would actually have tailgate parties, so to speak, listening to the games on the radio. And those things were always pretty entertaining, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I like Florida State, though. I really was passionate about Florida State football. Not sure why, but I really like watching them play. I actually like Derek Brooks, the linebacker for Florida State. But anyway, went to Alabama A&M first and then transferred to Auburn. I liked Auburn. As a matter of fact, I had an Auburn sweater, but I just wasn't quite a fan yet, okay? Definitely not the fan that I am now. So, either way, transferred to Auburn and started to kind of feel the culture of Auburn and really started to really internalize the whole Auburn creed thing and some of the traditions surrounding Auburn. Actually went to a few games, went to an Auburn-Alabama game for the first time. I thought that was in '99. That was actually an incredible experience. But there's the game that really solidified my fandom. I had graduated from Auburn by then. And I was a fan. I guess you could say by now I'm an Auburn alum. I'm a fan. But the game that really solidified my fandom was the LSU game of 2004. The intensity at which Auburn played was just so incredible. You know, it's just undeniable. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get an emotional attachment to this particular team. Now, there are also, it's great being an Auburn fan. It's very entertaining. Unpredictable. The schedule is usually pretty interesting. So, a lot of good advantages to being an Auburn fan, but there are some disadvantages as well, especially if you look at the mental health part of it. I mean, Auburn is the kind of team that will beat Oregon and then turn around and struggle with Tulane. And like if you go to a game or if you're watching a game on TV, sometimes you just want to have an emotional week off, if that makes sense to you. Sometimes you don't want to have to worry about, because see, SEC games for Auburn are high anxiety because you got to win the game, the consequences are high, and blah, blah, blah. But when you're talking about these 12 o'clock games against Mercer and Tulane and Jacksonville State, you just want to emotionally have the week off. Look at Auburn score a few easy touchdowns. Look at the defense kind of be dominant to where it's just a casual Saturday. But no, not the Auburn Tigers, guys. Auburn is the kind of team that will struggle, have to pull away from teams like Tulane and Kent State versus Alabama, who's going to go on and have 57 points scored by the half, and then their reserves play the second half. I think Auburn just has to get out of this struggling with these menial opponents. For one, it's irritating. Two, it is a waste of energy. You're wasting energy on a team like Mercer when you got, say, Mississippi State coming up the next week. You need to be executing on a high. We're going to talk about this in some other videos, but you got to be executing on a high level against these teams so that you can start getting the reps, start getting used to that level of execution. Okay. Number two, just having to share the same state with Alabama, especially with this incredible run that Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide is on. It just makes it kind of hard to be an Auburn fan having to watch this crap every week or every year. Alabama's in the national championship game. Alabama's winning the SEC championship. Alabama's having the #1 recruiting classes. Blah, 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 blah. Just makes it kind of tiresome, you know. When you talk about being an Auburn fan, it's also, like I said before, really tough when you see games like LSU. These are games you just want to win so bad. You're up 21-10. And then the game just casually slips away. And then you have to get, listen to. For a while, I just stopped listening to Gus Malzahn's post-game press conferences because I just couldn't take the casual, we'll be all right speeches. Or we had our chances speeches. That's probably one of the most gut-wrenching speech you can give an Auburn fan base after losing an SEC game that was well in hand. It's just really, really unacceptable. And I think that's a contributing cause as to why the Auburn fan base just has this disdain for Gus Malzahn. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he will correct those things this year. But it's still, you just can't, you gotta have to understand your fan base, and you have to understand that we need a little bit more emotional, a little bit more emotion when you lose a game like that in the manner in which you did. It makes it kind of come off like you don't care, okay? Last but not least, coming into the 2019 year, I use the term a lot, casual optimism. The reason why I use that term is because being an Auburn fan, you just can't talk too much trash. You can't say, hey, man, we're going to whoop Oregon, because that might not necessarily be true. What you got to say as an Auburn fan is we should beat Oregon, but I don't know what team is going to show up. I don't know how Gus is like last year. A lot of those games, you knew they could win them, but hey, what offense is going to show up? When I knew Auburn was playing, Gus Malzahn was calling plays against Purdue, I was like, oh, okay, so we might be able to do something this week. But up until then, you're like, hell, we can't even get a first down, So you just can't talk too much trash, even though you should be able to have the talent to. But it has always depended on what coaching staff or what Auburn team is going to show up. Now, we hope to start the change of this narrative going into the 2019 season, especially with all the talent and depth that's coming back. But for now, it's a wait and see kind of thing, baby. All right, so let me know your comments, some of the most gut-wrenching things about being an Auburn fan. Leave it in the comments section. Also, like this video, subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Looking forward to this fall, a great action-packed SEC run for the Auburn Tigers. Maybe even more. But like I said, we just got to be casually optimistic about that thing. Until next time, guys, War Eagle.